My name is Hoberly Frey, and I specialize in releasing the traumatic, emotional impact of a traumatic situation for people. And what you're going to be watching here is a follow-up session with Norma, who is being very courageous in sharing her story with everyone, and I truly appreciate that. So, hello, Norma.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, so I'm just going to recap what we did in the first session, which is you told me that a very traumatic thing happened when you were a baby. You recall being in the crib. You were maybe 1 or maybe even less than that. It was daytime. You were crying, and your father came in. You sensed he was very angry. He had a seltzer bottle, a siphon, and he squirted you in the face with this. Okay.
Yes.
So I also want to mention that you're seeing a split screen here because Norma is probably more than 2,000 miles away from me, and we can do this work. Doesn't matter how far.
And also, the reason when I decided to do the work with you, it's because I've been having some very significant bowel issues for quite a few years, and I'm trying to address them to find out what the underlying emotional or spiritual cause of that is.
Okay.
And when I tried to tune into what memory might be significant, that's the one that came up first.
Okay.
So.
And we don't know for sure if there's more to it, if this is the one. I mean, I do trust your intuition, but I can't test you unless I'm in person testing you. I wish I had that opportunity.
Technology.
But do you
yeah. But I will tell you that I'm afraid to be hopeful, but there's been a significant change this week for the first time in a really long time.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's something. All right. So go ahead and tell me, after we did this work, what your email said to me, if you're willing to do that.
Well, it felt very significant, the work that I did with you, in that I was really surprised when the memory came up because I've done a lot of work with it. Mm-hmm. But what was different this time was that instead of anger or resentment or fear in that moment, it was I didn't feel any of those things toward my parents. What I felt was shame myself about I must deserve this in some way. And then you advised me towards the end of the session to retell the story and work with it. And so I did that at every opportunity I had this week, and just coincidentally or synchronistically, I was the focus person in a couple of practice groups that I participate in. And I felt, I think I mentioned this in the email, I felt like I was in an altered state of consciousness, that I was moving slowly. I couldn't really think very clearly. I knew that what was happening was that I was processing something. And if I had been frightened by it, I might have called you and said, oh my God, Hoberly, something terrible is happening. But I wasn't scared by it. I knew that it was part of the process. So I just let it happen. Right. And I went with it. And I think it was the second time that I worked on it with a group on Thursday morning that something really shifted. Something really opened up. In fact, when I went back into the memory, I didn't even see my parents this time. I only saw myself.
Interesting.
With the unseen therapist. Yeah, the unseen therapist and my orangutan. I don't know if I talked about my orangutan on tape, but he's my therapist helper, and they both got,
Not on tape, no.
So they, so they got into the crib with me, and their message, they just laid there with me because it was all, when I worked with you, it was the first time also that I sensed that I had some stomach discomfort as a baby at that time when that happened. And so they just laid in the crib with me, and unseen therapist was rubbing my belly and saying, it's okay, we're just going to lay here and relax until you feel better. And there was no sense of anger or fear, or they weren't even part of the picture. So it was like really, and something shifted. And then the next time I had the opportunity to talk about it, there was no discomfort at all. Good. It's like the first time in my life that I could tell that story without any intensity at all. Yeah.
Good. So I just wanted to ask you first, You said you were in an altered state. Is that normally what you go into when you process? Is that typical for you?
Yeah, it's not unusual,
It's not.
but it was unusual for that long a period of time. Usually it's just for a very short period after the work. Like as we're finishing up, it's like the therapist or the facilitator might say, "So how are you feeling right now?" And I'll say, "Well, it's going to take me a little bit to settle into this because things have been jumbled up, but it doesn't last days and days like it did." Yeah.
Okay, so when I read your email, two things came to me when I was meditating on what is the underlying thing? Why has this not completely released? The first one may not be significant to you, but I'm going to say it anyway. When you have a lifelong belief, this issue of I'm too much trouble or I'm unlovable, and it pops up over and over and over again, it becomes a habit. Once the energy is released, you're then able to consciously say, wait a minute, okay, that's just a habit. I don't have to think about that anymore. And then it's easy to switch. But if the energy isn't released in the body yet, that's going to be almost impossible. So when someone says, hey, just get over it, we can't because the energy is locked in. So if you're still stuck with some of that, and I do have some phrases I want you to say, what came to me was this wasn't the initial cause of these beliefs. Now, I do believe this is probably the most significant and the most memorable because it was so shocking to have that water hit you. So it was the most violent. But I think it was just a triggering of that initial belief.
There's several things that come to mind.
Okay.
One is I was not a wanted child by my mother. My mother was going through a very difficult time in her life. She discovered while she was pregnant with me, she discovered my father was having an affair, one of many to come. But she discovered that. Yeah, I was in between abortions. She had an abortion before me and one after me, so I don't know how I survived that. But I know she didn't, and she once said it. I'm sure she had no idea the impact of what she was saying because I was an adult when she said it to me. But she said, "I didn't want you." She was just describing. She wasn't saying, "God, why are you in my life?" But so I know I was not a wanted child. Secondly, once I was born, and while she was pregnant, she was consumed with her relationship with my father because that was always the most important thing to her. Was her relationship with whatever man she was with. There were two, my father and then my stepfather. So anything that took her energy away from that in a negative way or in a demanding way, and I took a lot of energy from her, was a resentment, something to be gotten rid of. She told me she could only nurse me for 4 months because she was so nervous when she would feed me.
Wow.
But the other thing that comes up, yeah. Wow. So I've done work like where I've gone into the womb and I feel that sense of as an embryo thinking, oh, I'm not supposed to be here. I shouldn't, this was a mistake inhabiting this little body. So I've done some work with that. And that was, I don't know how old I was. I might have been 3 days old. I don't know. My mother tells the story that there was company in the house. So they were all in one room and I was laying on the bed in another room. I was a fairly young baby and they hear me screaming and they come into the bedroom and my brother has been slapping me on the face hard enough that my face was like really, really red. And he slapped, he's only 2 years old and he's slapping me and laughing because he thinks it's funny, that this baby's screaming every time I hit it, right? He's a baby himself. And then my mother says that my father really, really beat him very severely. So I'm sure I was a baby, but I somehow witnessed that. I don't know if I find that story rather sad. Yeah.
Sure.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll work with that one too. But the other thing you said was your mother was nervous when feeding you. I'm wondering if that affected your stomach. Feeling that nervousness with food, and then it literally created some. So we'll work with that one too.
There's an additional thing about that because I've thought about that about my relationship with food. That so she tells the story when I'm a little older, maybe 2.5, 3. I wanted her to feed me. I wouldn't eat on my own. And so she went to the doctor, who said to her, well, just don't do it. And eventually she'll get hungry enough and eat by herself. And she tells that story like a triumphant moment for herself, that she got me to eat on my own. But the way I experience it is like, nothing I did got your attention. Nothing I did got you to do anything for me, no matter what I did. That's the way I experience it, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so I'll stop talking now.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I appreciate whatever you have to say. Nothing got attention. Nothing got, and that's still one of those things. I just don't get attention.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, another big one. So let me have you say, I'm going to have you say some statements and tell me what the intensity is on those, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
I'm unlovable.
I'm unlovable. It's a hard one to gauge.
Okay.
There's some truth to that statement, but it's not very strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't seem to register that I'm unwell and that I need help.
Yeah, they don't seem to register that I'm unwell, that I need help, that I need attention. Yeah, that one isn't as strong because I've sort of taken on response. I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna have to do this myself. I know, I no longer want that much help from the medical community, so it doesn't really matter that they don't hear me as well.
I seem to give the message I don't need anything.
I seem to give the message that I don't need anything. A little bit, maybe. If I sat with it, it might go up, but I'm thinking around 4 or 5.
Then say whatever the thoughts are. Well, how come she's getting all the attention? Why aren't they seeing that I need help? Something like that. See if it brings it up higher. And what are the words?
What word? I don't know about words, but the feeling is that I somehow repel people approaching me. That there's something that keeps people at a distance from me.
Is it because you don't want to be too much trouble?
What comes up is there's something about me that causes people to not want to get close to me, to take care of me, to engage with me. Yeah, so that's the first time that I equate that with my mother, right? That's pretty much how it was with her.
I'm all alone in the world.
I'm all alone in the world. Mm-hmm. That kind of feels, that feels true.
Okay, how much?
6 or 7.
Okay.
Maybe more, but I'm going to give it 6 or 7.
Okay. Say, I'm just a big baby.
I'm just a big baby. Yeah, that feels a lot less. Yeah, maybe, I'm going to get, almost none. Yeah.
So of all of these, the biggest one is I'm all alone in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's do a compound. I'm all alone in the world, and there's something about me that causes people to not want to take care of me or be with me.
Or be close to me.
Or be close to me. Okay. And I'm going to go in and see what I can do to remove this. Now imagine that your heart is just filled with more love than you've ever experienced. And imagine that that's starting to radiate through every cell in your body. And it's expanding beyond the physical body into your energetic field. And that love is expanding from your field just far, far out of you. It's actually filling the room that you're in. And it's now going beyond the room. It's filling your entire home. And it's expanding beyond the walls of your home and going out into the neighborhood. And that love is very safe. It's very protecting. It protects you. It keeps you safe. It keeps you well. It keeps you healthy. It's doing all kinds of amazing things that you can't even conceive of in this moment. But the other thing that it's doing is anyone who comes within that space is actually touched by that love, and they don't know what it is. They don't know why they feel so good around you and in your presence. But instead of repelling people, it's now going to touch them and help them be more loving. And you don't even need to do anything. This is going to work automatically. Are you open to accepting this and allowing this to happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels very beautiful.
I don't know where this came from, but this is the message for you. So we're going to now install that in you. Ooh, I'm getting chills all over.
Me too.
It's going to happen automatically, but your awareness of it is going to even make it stronger and more powerful. So just know that it's happening. And just be aware and allow your heart to send out more energy to dissipate this. And as you do, it will be completely, if it's not already gone, it will dissipate until it no longer is active in your life. How does that feel?
Oh, it feels wonderful. Feels
Cool.
great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So open your eyes.
Okay.
So go ahead and say, I'm all alone in the world.
I'm all alone in the world.
How does that feel right now? That was like a 6, 7, maybe higher.
Oh, no, it doesn't feel that. No, it's much lower. There's a sense of it because I create that in my life. I create this aloneness, but I'm very aware that it's what I create. Yeah.
Okay. Are you willing to change that?
I think so. It's become very comfortable for me to be alone, and to just close myself off and to choose aloneness versus I'm not afraid to be social. It's very easy for me to go into groups. Sure. But it'll take some effort, some real or at least some decision making. Yeah.
Great. You always have that choice. You can be alone if
right.
you want, but if you choose not to, it doesn't have to be that. So there's something about me that causes people to not want to be close to me. Say that one.
There's something about me that causes people to not want to be close to me. It's more the statement is there's something about me that repels people.
Okay. And
how? Well, I am aware of the hard edges that I've created. That I do have these hard edges that keep supposedly keep people on a subconscious level from hurting me. But so again, more than before it was a feeling of there's something wrong with me. Now it's more a feeling of, oh, I've created something that causes this to happen. Like it's more within my control, my ability to shift it in some way. Am I making sense to you?
Yeah. So if this is like a, I don't know, force field, do you have the ability to put the shields down when you choose to and put them up when you feel like you do need that protection?
I think the heart expanding is going to do that. Okay. Right? I mean, because that's what that is. It's, sure. It's a real softening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. With a little work. It's like when you were talking at the beginning about when we get rid of something, but it's been with us for such a long time. That's what I'm feeling. It's like things that have been with me for a lifetime. it's hard to trust that they're gone, or that
Sure.
they're not just temporarily shifted and that they're going to come back, as soon as I turn my back or as soon as I stop thinking about it. So, yeah.
But you, I'm guessing, would have good awareness when you start to feel these things creep in, right? You're aware of
Yeah.
feelings. And then you can just consciously say, hey, wait a minute. Do you think you're at this point now where you do have the ability to say, wait a minute, that's not me anymore? Or do you think there's still more of a charge that's attached?
No, I think I can, because I've made it such a priority. I mean, I've never worked on it so in such a focused and continuous way before. It's like, okay, this is it. This, I want to shift this.
Since
Also,
most of these things seem pretty low, unless there's one in particular, I want to kind of switch to, well, there are two things I want to switch to. One is being unwanted in the womb.
mhm.
And the other one is being fed while your mother is nervous, or I wrote nervous.
Yeah, when she doesn't want to be feeding me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to see if we can get both of those, some of that energy that's locked in, out of it.
Okay.
So let's start. Do you have a preference for which one to start with? Because I'm not drawn in particular to
I
either.
don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, let's work with the womb.
Okay.
So be the baby in the womb getting the message. They don't want me. I'm going to be too much trouble. This isn't going to be good. Maybe I shouldn't be here. Whatever those feelings and thoughts are. I'm going to try doing this without all the hand positions. And so right now, when you think of that, is there a charge with that?
There's some charge, yeah.
And
everything is in a lower level than it used to be, but yeah, there's a charge there.
And where in your body? Can you pinpoint? Is that in your gut by any chance?
Uh-huh, it is.
Okay. And what does it feel like? So we'll know if there's a
It's
shift.
a tension.
Okay. Okay.
Like a tensing up and
Yeah, when you say that, I get chills all over. So I'm tuning into that. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. So the words I'm hearing right now are from Unseen Therapist, who's filling you with love, saying it doesn't matter if she wants you or not. You are so loved, and you have a purpose, and no matter what, you will always be loved. You will always be needed. You will always be important. So I don't know. I'm just hearing that.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. It's like so many words. It's exactly what she was saying to me. Yeah, amazing.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Okay, so how's your stomach feeling in this moment?
If I see myself in the womb?
Yeah.
It's about half of what it was before.
Okay, so there's still something there.
Yeah.
Is it the same?
It's a feeling of brace yourself, because stuff is coming. Brace yourself for what's about to come.
Okay, so you're the adult who has now lived through it, and you've made it this far. Can you talk to the baby and let the baby, the fetus, know, you know what? We're going to survive. Yeah, it may be tough, but you know what? We're gonna make it through. How does that feel to think about saying that?
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. Well, what's happening is that my adult self is getting between my baby self and everything that's happening. So when my father comes in with that seltzer bottle, it's me in the crib in front of her.
Oh.
And I take the seltzer, and it doesn't bother me, of course. And
Nice.
when he throws me in the bathroom, I'm there with her, protecting her, and playing games with her. And when my mother won't feed me, it's like, that's okay, I'll feed you, and we'll be okay. When I'm in the car accident, she says, here, I'll get you out of the car, and I'll stay with you while everybody else is being taken care of. That's what's happening.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's a very protective feeling. Like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that felt good.
Good. So in this moment, currently in this moment, how's your stomach or the bowels?
I don't know if they're at a 0, but compared, I mean, they're okay right now. There's a hint of tension in my gut, but again, compared to the way it used to be, it's like nothing. I mean, there's a huge difference this week. I'm afraid to really believe it yet, although I'm trying to not manifest
I
through
understand.
belief, right? But the difference has been huge. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So I feel like this week has been, and today has been this incredible, like I've literally walked through the looking glass, like something major has shifted and is going to continue to work. I'm just going to give myself a break while all this is resettling.
Right.
And so it'll be interesting to see what happens when all that is done. Now, no, but it feels like, wow, like I feel so different, hopefully. I really do. I can't tell you. But thank you so much. And yeah. I don't know what to say.
Yes, and thank you so much. I really appreciate your willingness